Poverty affects 1.4 billion people worldwide. Despite the millions of dollars yearly spent in international aid, there is still a glaring gap between our world's haves and have-nots. Traditionally, poverty alleviation measures have consisted on giving money to the elites under the assumption that they will pass it along to the poor or invest it in public infrastructure. Unfortunately, in this process, only a small fraction of aid is effectively reaching the poor, and often the funds that do reach the poor are making them increasingly dependent on international and national assistance, rather than empowering them to lift themselves out of poverty. Sharing income and resources from international aid with poor communities in developing countries is like funneling marbles into a bottle. While some of the marbles will reach the bottom, many will inevitably become stuck in the narrow neck and will spill out never to reach the poor and vulnerable masses. Discontentment with traditional top-down international aid has led to the growth of alternative development strategies. These focus on empowering communities to engage in culturally and context-appropriate entrepreneurial ventures that address local problems. In these interventions, outsiders work jointly with communities to build social capital and to identify and leverage market opportunities that will fuel social entrepreneurship.
Tourism is often proposed as a tool to stimulate economic growth and development in regions with rich environmental and cultural resources. Unfortunately, this promise is seldom fulfilled. All too often, the tourism industry places host communities as passive tourists, alienating them from their legitimate roles as planners of tourism development within their communities. This happens in great part due to monopoly some groups have on access to tourist markets. Traditionally, tourists have planned lodging, activities, and transportation through tour intermediaries like travel agencies and international tour operators. These retailers are responsible for connecting tourists with providers, while these supply channels provide tourists with a level of comfort and security. A sizable portion of the tourist expenditures never reach the destination. Advances in worldwide information technology have given many tourists the confidence to research and book many trip components on their own, through websites, email, and telephone. We propose that new communication technologies, specifically those available through cell phones, can be further leveraged to allow some tourists to bypass these gatekeepers and allow tourists to deal directly with entrepreneurs in the host destination.
Cell phone and SMS use is becoming increasingly prevalent in developing countries. The number of people in the developing world who have access to a cell phone is expected to continue to increase in coming years. SMS is already being used across the African continent to help disperse aid, create business partnerships, report medical supply shortages, and help refugees keep track of family members. Much like the web has fueled the growth of virtual trade networks, we propose to use cell phones as a platform to support virtual tourism marketplaces.
Networks are crucial to any trade function. Indigenous communities in South Africa do business among trusted partners. However, tourism in this region is geographically dispersed. This presents a constraint to rural communities interested in becoming involved in small tourism enterprises. We propose to bridge this gap by adapting the norms and processes prevalent in popular social networking sites like Facebook and MySpace, and in virtual marketplace communities like eBay to mimic traditional business processes and long-distance transactions. A cell phone-supported virtual marketplace that feels like a live market.
As an example, let's see how StartNet would help Kathewe, a 25-year-old woman from a rural community in KwaZulu-Natal. Kathewe struggles to care for herself and her 3 children with the food that she grows on the family's small plot of land. Her husband sends earnings from Johannesburg, where he works in construction. She also makes beadwork crafts and sells them to an intermediary that visits her community once a month. Kathewe would like to partner with a few other young women in her village and sell crafts and dance performances to tourists and to lodges. But there are a couple of problems. First, tourists driving by the region do not know of her business. Second, lodges require suppliers with reliability and quality assurance.
Enter StartNet. Kathewe's business is included on the StartNet web portal with a description of products and services delivered, quality ratings, and geographic location. Self-drive tourists planning their trip find that Kathewe's business is on their planned route using StartNet's mapping features. They send her an inquiry for a visit that arrives at her cell phone as an SMS. Upon her confirmation, the tourists include Kathewe's location on their GPS. A nearby lodge sends a SMS request to non-StartNet members in a 45-minute radius. The desired service is to host a group of 20 tourists and to perform 1 hour of dances and cultural demonstrations. Kathewe and 4 other StartNet members respond with bids through SMS. The lodge compares each business's bid amount and quality rating to make a choice.
StartNet was conceptualized by an international team including members from the University of Pretoria in South Africa and North Carolina State University in the United States. StartNet borrows from WishFast, an initiative headed by Penn State's Humanitarian Engineering and Social Entrepreneurship. We invite everyone to contribute to the future development and extension of this concept.